Welcome to another day in the Matrix. This is Red Pill Podcast 107, the solar eclipse special. We're about 3 days out from the solar eclipse that we've been talking about for a long time now, and we have so much to get into today, so we're not going to waste any time. Go ahead, get comfortable, get relaxed, grab yourself a cup of coffee or tea if it's the morning time, or a glass of wine, beer, or any beverage of your choice. Get settled in, deep breath in, deep breath out. We have really so much to talk about today, so we're not going to waste any time. If you're new here, welcome to the Wolf Pack. It's great to have you with us. Welcome to the community. And if you haven't gotten access to our Discord server yet, just go ahead and send me a direct message on Patreon with your Discord username and last four numbers after your Discord username, and I will reply back to you with a Patreon message to give you access to our Discord. Please don't comment your Discord details inside of this or email me. I can't help you out that way, only with the instructions that I just shared. And we'll be going over a bunch of altcoins today, as well as silver, since I covered gold last week and I did a very comprehensive gold decode, and I'm looking, feeling really bullish about gold moving into 2024 and in the year of 2024. And with silver, I'm going to be exposing exactly what I'm seeing in the charts, as well as going over a couple of privacy tokens that you guys have been interested in, such as Pirate Chain and Darrow, and we'll be going over a couple of other altcoins given our time today, and mostly focusing on the Bitcoin chart and what's going on moving into this solar eclipse that we're just 3 days out from. So just a little bit of a recap of the last video that I put out and the last Red Pill podcast. I talked about the number 31 quite a bit, and pretty much was sharing how March 13th, which was right around here, it's the date 1-3, or you could look at it as 313, the palindrome of 31, connecting to April 13th, and how April 13th is the 103rd day of the year. That 103, you remove the zeros, it brings you back to 13. And we were just seeing all these 13s and 31s, and how March 13th connected to April 13th is 31 days. And I talked about I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin hit 31,000 into that date range between April 11th into April 13th. And that is exactly what happened. Technically, still during April 13th in West Coast Pacific time, we saw Bitcoin hit $31,035, and on this Gemini chart, we see it hit $31,069. So we saw it come to fruition in a 1 minute candle, and then it rolled back over. So it was beautiful to watch that code come to life. I believe it gave people a lot more confidence in this gematria and numerology and astrological connections that we're making here. I mean, we don't have to prove ourselves anymore at this point. We've been doing this now for over 2 years, but just for the ones that are new to my work, that have come from perhaps other decoders channels or other channels that are working to spread their truth throughout the realm, you might be a little confused of how to utilize this system. And well, that's why you're here. You're here to expand consciously and become aware to how to use this code, and I'm here to just help you remember it. So it's a beautiful thing when we make these decodes and then they come to life, and today I don't think will be any different. What I'm about to share with you, I believe, is going to be mind-blowing, and it's just a couple days away, and we're going to be moving our focus away from the number 31 just for a moment and putting it towards the number 18. And if we talk about a number, I want you to always mirror it. This way, you're really looking at it with an extra layer as a decoder. So if we talk about 18, I want you to also keep the number 81 in mind. And this is a good reminder for everyone that I want you to take notes during these podcasts, especially when we're going over the decoding stuff. This is profound wisdom that's being shared with you. And if you practice it, study it, and apply it, and take notes every time that you're watching these transmissions, you're going to build this skill more and more and more, and eventually you'll become self-reliant, which is my goal for you, is to not have you to need my work, but to have you to enjoy supporting what we're doing here in the community. But moreover, you're sharpening the skills on your own and applying the skills in your own investment thesis and your own decoding endeavors. And that way you're becoming self-reliant. That's my mission statement for all of you. So it's a beautiful thing what we're doing here in this community. And if you're ever confused or have questions about certain things, leverage on the community. Reach out, ask questions in the appropriate text channels. We have so many amazing decoders, astrologers, chart analysts. I mean, you name it. What we're doing here is beautiful. And we're going through this whole shift together, helping each other remember. So as we're in the process day to day and we're doing these Red Pill podcasts, I definitely want to remind you to take notes, because the way I got really proficient in all of this and I expedited my process of learning how to decode was countless hours of study with note taking, keeping myself accountable along the way, putting in the discipline to not be distracted and actually apply my attention as an investment instead of paying attention. I decided to invest my attention. This is your opportunity to do the same thing. So we're getting really close to this eclipse moment, just a couple days out, and we've been watching these decodes month after month just come in perfect alignment with the way that we're envisioning it all to happen. And this has been a beautiful thing to see. I mean, just zooming out of this chart right here, damn, did this age well. I shared this chart before it even had a quarter of this data in phase A. And we had our selling climax, and look, we've pushed up perfectly into this automatic rally territory. And anyone who's been following along these red pills for at least 2 to 3 months now has seen this chart before. And look at this. Just look at how this is rising perfectly into this X right there on that eclipse, right with 30 to 33,000 as the horizontal level. It's really amazing. So again, shout out to Richard Wyckoff. I don't even take credit for this. I've been open that Richard Wyckoff is a legend. 100 years ago, this man had utilized this technique and it still works to this day. And the way that I look at it is, if it's not broken, why try to fix it? So game changer, and we're watching it come to fruition, and it's proving itself day by day. So especially if we make it up into this 33K territory, it is solidified. This automatic rally analysis after the selling climax was one of the greatest calls of all time, because most people don't anticipate these sorts of jumps up after such a dramatic fall. And with Wyckoff method, we were able to determine that would happen 5 months ago, 5 months before it happened. So I'm not here boasting. I'm giving a shout out to Richard Wyckoff. It was his methodology that changed my whole perception of how to analyze markets. So shout out to our homie, Richard Wyckoff. He was the true wolf. He was the true wolf of Wall Street, not fucking Jordan Belfort. That guy's a scam artist. But anyways, we're not going to get too spicy here today. But just know that some people that are part of Hollywood are selected, and their code is groomed into what happens on the world stage. Just want to remind you of that. But no more jabs at our good old friend Jordan Belfort. We all love the Wolf of Wall Street movie, right? It was fantastic. Great movie, especially if you're into markets. And going back to one of the initial scenes in the beginning of that movie where Jordan Belfort gets into Wall Street, just beginner, kind of learning his way around the New York Stock Exchange. And he lived through Black Monday in 1987, and that was during a Shemitah. Again, it was in October, and I keep telling you guys about October 2023, and it's marked off right here for this eclipse time frame and how I'm perceiving the market's going to move down into that time frame. So it has everything to do with that September, October historical data that we've seen in the past, and also a data point that I shared with you almost like a year ago at this point in the Shemitah decoded and the Jubilee decoded videos, how 1 year after Shemitah, we tend to bottom out for the stock market. And if the stock market bottoms out, I don't think it will be any different for the crypto market. I think we will have our crypto market bottom solidified fully out of November 2023, moving into about February, March of 2024. By then, it should all be complete, and we could be into the remainder of an uptrend. And let's get into this though. We have a lot to talk about today. This might be a longer episode than usual just because it's that solar eclipse special. I wanted to make it, packed as much as possible for you guys. Talk about market wisdom, talk about the decoding, just to give you guys the best podcast ever. So, a couple things to mention. We are well aware of this solar eclipse on April 20th, which also has a 13 date numerology, talking about the numbers 31 and 13. And April 20th is also the transition date into the 21st, which is the 111th day of the year. And yesterday was the 111th anniversary of the Titanic sinking ritual. So this 111 code is going to be very important. And we were talking about the 31 number, and kind of the last thing I'll say about it until later in our decode. 31, we saw Bitcoin hit 31,000, 31 days after March 13th into April 13th, the 103rd day. Well, 31 could be perceived as 3 ones, 111. Titanic sank 111 years ago. That was a ritual to get rid of some people that opposed a globalist banking cabal called the Federal Reserve System, completely ran through Zionism. So it's important we consider that this Titanic sinking ritual 111 years ago is tied into the whole year. Everything that happens this year can pivot going back to that moment. So since lately, I've been identifying these repeating number date connections with success. I noticed a connection with the number 18, and now we're going to be diving into that 18 and 81 decode that I was going to share with you. April 18th is on my radar, and this is going to be a mind-blowing connection. So just pay attention to how many 18s we're going to point out here. We have April 18th, which is the 108th day of the year. That, with the rules of numerology, you remove that 0. That gives you 18. Connected to May 6th, which is an 18 date numerology, 18 standard date numerology, by 18 days. And May 6th lands in the 18th week of the year. You could see that week 18, May 1st through May 7th, and we're talking about May 6th in the 18th week. 18th week, 18th day, 18 days apart from the 108th day, 18 on the 18th day of April. And April is tied back to Aphrodite, who is Venus, and Venus gives you 18 by the code as well. So this is my methodology, family. You need to be able to use a limited amount of the exoteric data to use your esoteric decoding skills, and this is where it really combines to be this immaculate system, like a system that is without a shadow of a doubt has the best and most practical utility imaginable. And we're going to be building a lot more off these 2 dates, but I just wanted to show you all of those 18 connections, as last week I showed you all those 31 connections and how that came to fruition in the Bitcoin chart. And I was able to leverage on that decode to determine the price action for the market mover, which is Bitcoin. It's the power plant of the market when we're talking about cryptocurrency. So all these 18s, I was able to identify 5 different number 18 connections just between 2 dates. And remember, May 6th is the day after the lunar eclipse. I guess technically it could still be your lunar eclipse. You see right here, May 5th through 6th, penumbral lunar eclipse. It will also be the day of the coronation of Charles III. And you see that word coded in there, corona. We remember what that was all about. Anyways, we have May 6th. You could see it right there. It will be the coronation ceremony of Charles III. So this is big, and a lot of people have been asking me about this, my feelings, so here it is. But when we talk about corona, we're talking about the sun, and lately we've been talking a lot about eclipses, so I feel like this is obvious that this is all coded in. So let me show you how this is coded. May 6th is the day leaving 239 days in the year. 239 is your 52nd prime number, and by the code, coronation equals 52 in full reduction. Remember, how cryptocurrency equals 52 as well? Well, this is for Charles the Third, and Charles the Third giving you 25, which is the mirror of 52, just like crypto and the same cipher gives you 25. This is all coded in because crypto, or Bitcoin for that matter, runs off the sun and moon energy. So Charles III also giving you an important number right there, that 93. And 93 ties us back to Saturn, who is Satoshi. But you see that 93 tied to Saturn. Charles III equals 93. And this date of the coronation starts on a Saturday, a Saturn day. Perfect. Think about this, family. And I've had a couple of people ask me about the connections between the mythology. Well, we were talking about 93, so let's multiply 9 times 3. That gives us 27. Who's the child of Saturn? The most famous one being Jupiter. 27 right there. It's all coded, guys. Your mythology is the missing link behind 99% of decodes out there. And that's something I identified years ago, and that's my purpose for the decoding community, is to show you that this is what it's really coming back to. This is what it's based in. It's based in mythology, and I believe mythology is coded into us, so-called humans, who are here in the Matrix simulacrum on the DNA level. We are living programmed mythology. We are literally programmed water. It's mind-blowing stuff, but I believe my decoding mastermind that's going to come out soon will be proving all of this, and how all religion was ever about was showing you anatomy, and how it all comes back to you. You are the universe. You are all the mythologies, all of the kings, pharaohs, titles. You're all in one, because it all exists because you. Don't want to get too down the rabbit hole today, but I've been thinking a lot about some of these things to deal with Saturn, and I talked about it thoroughly in the in the Decoders Roundtable podcast that me, Logan, and Jason from Archaics did, and I shared my thoughts on the transition between the so-called golden age into what we're in now, and how when the architect in the Matrix movie was talking to Neo about how he had a couple of perfect iterations of the Matrix initially, but then, it got like off the rails and there was laziness and nobody wanted to do anything. And I identified the reason for that is because there was no time. So the element that you add into the simulation is time, which is Saturn. It's all there. It's pretty beautiful to perceive it as such. So if you guys are more interested in stuff like that, I could definitely be sharing more of my theories, and definitely could be like a frequently asked questions section or a poll for stuff to add into the decoding mastermind in the future. But getting back to this, I was talking about the connection between this date, the 239 days left in the year, exactly on the day of the coronation. 239 is your 52nd prime number. Coronation equals 52 in Gematria. Charles III equals 25 in Gematria. That's the mirror. And how this is all tied through Charles III equaling 93 and Saturn equaling 93. And this date is a Saturn day. Mind-blowing. Now, remember, May is actually the third month in the true system. March being the first month, April being the second month, May being the third. So just a reminder for those that are confused, you have September. Septem is 7. It is not your 9th month. And then you have October. You've heard of octagon. It's an 8-sided polygon. That would be your 8th month. November, Novem is 9. December, Deci, Deci, decimal. It is one place over. It's your 10. Then you have 11. Then you move into, January, which is your 11th month. Janus, the 2 heads, that's 2 sides, that's 2 pillars, that's 1 and 1, that's 2 towers. Think about this. That's your 11. 12 naturally being February, Februus, and then you move into March. Mars, Aries, the first sign in the zodiac, right? So this is how you make more sense of a distorted, corrupted calendrical system that we are all accepting to use, called the Gregorian system. Now, naturally, March is the first month. second month would be April, third month would be May. So you could perceive this date of May 6th actually as 3-6, and that 3-6 is 3 sixes. That's your 666, and 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals 18. Think about it. 18. How many 18s I've showed you? So no matter how you chop this up, you're still coming back to these 18s. And the 666 is just coming back to carbon. 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. So let's move on. Remember how last week I shared the decode on the number 31 and how it's, tied to Bitcoin? Well, let's just quickly go over that one more time. That 3 ones and how London is 31. You got that 31 right there. This coronation is happening in London, United Kingdom. That 31. Also Titanic giving you that 31. Very important. Let's move on to a couple of other things. I want to make sure that we get to the meat and bones of this decode before we take up too much time. So lastly, a connection between April 18th and May 6th. One more thing I'm interested in is how May 6th in the Gregorian system is 6-5 or 5-6, and we have one more connection back to United Kingdom being 65 right there by the code. Now 6-5 is 6 times 5, which is 30, and this is where we bring in this guy, this character. 30, think about that number and how Joe Biden equals 30, how politics equals 30. His whole name, it's going to be a little difficult for me to type out the whole thing. I'm going to do my best, see if I could copy and paste it. Boom. Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., and you have 108, like how this date, April 18th, is the 108th day, right? And Joseph Biden giving you 46. He's the 46th president. Government equals 46. Sacrifice equals 46. Perhaps this coronation of King Charles III will be serving the energy. Well, let me say that really slowly. The coronation of King Charles III perhaps could be severing the energy from Joe Biden's rule in the States. Think about this like energy transfer, and we talked about it a lot in the Super Bowl 57 decoded, how whilst I'm decoding to figure out the positives and negatives, I'm looking where things get canceled out. Because when you become a decoder, it's very easy initially to make some connections and then assume based off your bias that it would be positive or negative. And I've moved past that. My way of looking at it is almost like basic algebra. I want to see how one gets canceled out by another thing, and then it gets added to another thing, and then it gets canceled. And I look at it like a long math equation. As I'm doing that basic arithmetic of ones and zeros getting canceled out, I see where the energy is most likely looking negative and where it's looking most positive after the fact. And that's made it a little bit more of a sophisticated system for me. And it was really helpful because it was what allowed me to determine pretty much the last 2 Super Bowls without knowing any of the players, anything about sports, really anything at all about what went on during the season. I just did my decode through my methodology, and I applied that tactic of seeing what things were connected and how they canceled out each other's energy. So again, perhaps this coronation of King Charles III will be severing the energy from Joe Biden's rule in the States. Final thing to mention about this connection is that April 18th leaves 257 days in the year. 257 is your 55th prime number, and this is directly connected to Satoshi Nakamoto with that 55. And another connection to British royalty. Last year we had the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, and you could see that 55 in Platinum Jubilee. So this event for King Charles is replacing that position energetically. So this is why it's very important to consider. Now, in the Gregorian system, the day of the lunar eclipse, naturally, it would be May 5th. You could see that right there, the 5-5. And that could be perceived as 2 5s, which is 25 or 52. That ties you back to the year we're in, which is the year of the rabbit, Chinese year of the rabbit, 5225. And all of that symbolism is going towards Venus and the moon. So we have these eclipses coming up, obviously, and we're still in the month of April, which is the month of Aphrodite, which is Venus. Huge that we have these two eclipses right in this time frame. And I released all that information in the Year of the Rabbit Decoded. If you guys want to check that out, if you want to brush up on some of that code, or if you haven't seen it before, you definitely want to see it. So think about how this date is 17 days apart, and that eclipse is a 17 date numerology. You could see that right there, 17 days, 17 date numerology. And another connection here is you got Joseph Biden giving you the 107 rules of numerology. That's 17. Naturally, the day before is the 17th of April, which is the 117th day. That's tomorrow. So this is making me think that the ritual on the world stage between these eclipses on April 20th and a couple days and May 6th will have to do with politics and government tied to British royalty, and I wouldn't be surprised if Joe Biden is part of the ritual. Now, when it comes to his death, because I've had a lot of people ask me about this, and I'm not trying to give it my prana, just decoder. I'm trying to share with you, what I'm seeing by the code. When it comes to a death ritual, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened on August 30th. So I know this is pretty far out, and I don't normally do this, but it's just a quick decode to share with you guys. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. So November 20th is his alleged birthday, where he will be turning 81 years old. And if you look at August 31st, it'll be 81 days before he turns 81 years old. And the day before is an 81 double date numerology. You can see that 81 right there, and the mirror of 81 is 18. That's your standard date numerology. Is about to become 81 years old. So 81 days before this time frame, it makes total sense to me, especially when we're seeing these date numerologies add up, and we know his condition of health on his clone is getting close to malfunction levels. So he's going to start short circuiting pretty soon. It's obvious if he hasn't been replaced, for the 10th time this year. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I don't know what to say. I don't talk about politics or politicians, but it's pretty obvious by now that these are not real humans. Sometimes what you see on the TV is not even an actual physical person. It's a hologram. So this is all bread and circus, and it's why I don't talk about it often. But for those of you that want to know, this is my easy process for seeing how this all goes. Just look at the dates connected to the year, going back or forward from the next birthday or ritual date. In this case, I look at the number 81 in my entire decode today as being very, very important. And when I see this 81 years old connection, it's obvious to me. Time's up. We were able to determine the same thing last year with Platinum Jubilee, the Queen's 70th anniversary being Queen and her passing. So I don't see this being any different. Now, one other thing to mention is September 1st. And I was telling you earlier how Septem is actually 7. So this should be 7-1. And of course, 1 plus 7 equals 8. And we were talking about how he is 80 years old right now. This date will be the transition date into 81 years old, but still technically 80, I suppose. And that is connected by 80 days to that date, 7-1. 7 plus 1, you could see that right there, is the date numerology as well. So this is amazing, all right? We have 17 standard date numerology, 1 plus 7 equals 8. You have the month being 7th month, the first day, that's 7 plus 1 equals 8. Connected 80 days on the 80th birthday, transitioning into the 81st birthday. Now a couple more 17s. We have the 17 here. I showed you esoterically the 17 there, and we have Biden equaling 17 right there. And I showed you before how Joseph Biden equals the 107, which is your 17. Again, all reducing to 8. You reduce this to 8, and you reduce the number 17 to 8. So when you use the rules of reduction, it, proves what's going on. So going back to the number 18s for a moment, and then we're going to move through this. August 30th being that 81 date numerology also connects to September. Let me show you. Connects to September 17th, which will be the last day of Jubilee by 18 days. So we have another confirmation on these 18s and 81s for this August 30th date. Again, 81 date numerology, 18 standard date numerology, 18 days away from September 17th, the last day of Jubilee, which transitions into the 18th day of September. Again, Joe Biden turning 81, all connected 81 days going back to August 30th. So if Biden makes it through these upcoming eclipses past May 6th, I am personally looking towards August 30th through September 1st, which is just weeks away from the end of Jubilee for him to be ritualized. And it doesn't necessarily have to be death. It could be that he's replaced through some big controversy or so-called health complications, but at this point, a death ritual wouldn't surprise me at all. All right, so getting back to crypto and the charts and everything, regarding this automatic rally phase in the crypto market that I've been talking about for a while and we're watching come to fruition week by week, again, I am very open-minded how this phase can play out because of the two past iterations of the automatic rally cycles going back to 2019 and 2016 timeframe, and how they ended in the month of June. And we're just here in the middle of April right now. So we've been talking about this in the past couple of weeks, especially. I gave a full presentation called The World Reserve Decoded. It was the last Decoded I released, talking all about this month of June and July and why I'm considerate of June. But so far, we just need to take it week by week and kind of, track the price action as we go. But I shared all that information around June, so you guys are well aware now. You're prepared weeks in advance. So if we make it through this eclipse and we keep going up, then we have May on our time horizon. May 6th being a lunar eclipse, naturally, it's a full moon, but we also have a new moon in the month of May. So I shared in the Sell in May and Go Away Decoded how September 17th through 19th are really my target dates. Regardless of these eclipses, it's that 17th or 19th that I'm keeping on my radar. So if the market moves up until then, and then there's an event connected to those two dates, that would not surprise me at all. It really does give us enough time for Bitcoin to make it into 40,000, even a little bit higher. So just want to go to the charts right now. We're going to go to this tab. And we were talking a lot about these 247-day cycles, but here I have this bullish pennant pattern, and we broke out, technically hitting our target within a couple of dollars. That's your measured move right there. And the measured move is just taking off the high to this low and perfectly measured on the outside of the pattern, bullish. We got this, so I'm going to delete it. And I pulled a fib from that swing high to that swing low, and it shows you our 1618 is in the same territory. So we have confirmations also technically why 31,000 was in play. And also this gives us something to consider, that if we start trading above this 1618 on a daily close, that is when you could consider moving up. So a note that you could take is if Bitcoin starts trading daily closes above 31,300, I would anticipate a move into 33K pretty quickly, and then continuation from there. But let me zoom out and show you this 247-day cycle and how I have this dotted line here on April 19th. Now, April 19th is just 3 days away, and it was connected to this move right here. So this was a drawdown in the eclipse of June. We saw, I believe it was Terra Luna, get ritualized on this move. And we had a very obvious uptrend here where we have a low, higher low, higher low, higher low, and followed by high, higher high, higher high, and it ended on this higher high. So if I measure 247 days from that wick, you're going to see where it brings us, and that is literally the day before this upcoming solar eclipse. So I've been using this as a pivot point concept, and it's still making me feel really bullish about April 19th. Now, could we continue to go up afterwards? Hell yeah, we can. I'm not saying we will 100%, but according to the data, it would not be out of this natural analysis that I've been sharing for the past 3 to 4 months that the May new moon is something to keep in mind. And I just talked about that moments ago. So you're well aware that May 19th is on our radar. Now, I'm going to use more of this data to determine what's up. And we have right here this pivot point of a low. And I can move it over 247 days. And it's going to take me to May 12th. That'll be after the eclipse. And then this pink line right here, this arrow moving 247 days out, it is May 18th. Okay, right into that time frame between May 17th and May 19th. This peak right here is what got us confirmed into another downtrend because we could not cross the prior high, solidifying a lower high, and that made confirmation on this low here because this was lower than this low. So this pivot point is so damn crucial on the 13th of September. And the fact that it brings us into May 18th, it's huge for me, guys. So I think that that's opening up my mind a lot into the middle of May could be very bullish. But let's just see how it all goes. Remember, we have Mercury station retrograde from April 21st through the 14th. And we've had iterations in the past, as I showed you in this chart, of us moving up very bullishly through Mercury station retrograde. You have right there 33%, 75%. And here you have 60%. And look at how there's a short-term pullback, but then we went up for another high one more time, twice in this case, before folding over. Here, we had a high at the end of Mercury retrograde, short-term pullback, and then boom, one last move up. Could that be how this iteration goes this time, where we make it into Mercury station retrograde, we hit the eclipse of, we hit the eclipse of May 6th, have a short-term pullback, and then boom, one last move up into the new moon of May, and then fold over after that. That would be something we've seen many, many times. We've seen right here, Mercury retrograde, sideways, pump up after. We saw a couple of iterations, boom, we moved down, sideways, but we moved up after. We even made another high about a couple weeks after. So be open-minded to, even though we have about 55% of these Mercury retrogrades are neutral during Mercury stationed retrograde, we do have iterations where they are positive. There's outliers, and we're moving into a solar cycle here, whilst here we were already in a lunar cycle. So that means when we're in a solar cycle, that lunar eclipses should become weaker. But I want to caution everyone, we've seen in the past 2 iterations of lunar eclipses complete rituals of specific projects. We saw what happened with Terra Luna on a lunar eclipse, and we saw what happened with FTX on the past lunar eclipse. Could this time on the lunar eclipse, which is the coronation of King Charles, could that be another crypto ritual that's isolated? Of course. And that could bring a short-term pullback for Bitcoin and a couple other tokens, but ultimately the market could just keep moving up right after that, as we saw happen with FTX. So the market moved up regardless of what FTX wanted to do later, and the market moved up after Terra Luna went to zero. Whilst Terra Luna is still chopping sideways at lows, and the same thing for FTX. It was just a ritual to remove all of the market cap from those projects, and it was done by design. So let's go over to this tab again. We have this automatic rally chart. It's looking pretty damn good. I want to go into this blue chart right here. We talked about this measured move. We've completed it. So I'm just going to remove this all now because you guys are well aware of it. Let me look at the weekly chart because we're coming up on our weekly close today. Damn, this is just so beautiful how it rose into this money symbol like that. Mind blowing. Okay, so we're reviewing our weekly. We have a wolf cross of the 8 above the 55, looking gorgeous. We have the 8 above the 200 simple, 200 exponential, gorgeous. Okay, we have a critical cross coming in today, which will solidify the 21 over the 34, and both of them will be over the 55. bullish. We'll also see this blue moving average, the 13 exponential, potentially crossing above the 300 simple, bullish. Okay, with this 13 following under the 8 simple moving average, that looks really damn good. And this close, by the way, look at how this is a 7% close on the weekly after having about 4 weeks of sideways choppy market action for Bitcoin. This is an incredibly bullish close. If we were to close above 30,000, that would be our first weekly close above 30,000 since, I guess, technically a full year ago. Massive. So this is incredibly bullish, what we're seeing right here. And all the moving averages are proving that as well. Let's look at the 5-day. Okay, so we have a 5-day close on the actual we have the 5-day close on the actual solar eclipse. But let's look at some things here. We have the 8 crossed above the 200 exponential. We are still trading below the 200 simple though. So that would be a nice kind of cheat code for an upside target right there. We have that 200 simple sitting around 32,800. Let's just call it 33. Beautiful. The 55 simple is starting to slope to the upside. That's really bullish, especially after we had 2 big back tests on 5-day candles going back to the middle of March. 1 second, I'm just going to drink some coffee. All right. So yeah, this is looking really, really nice. We could see this 13 crossing above the 200 exponential. On the next 5-day close. Just 1 second, family. I need to clear my throat real quick. Man, I've been putting in work lately. I've been really, I need a break. Do those exist for me? I don't know. But anyways, getting back to this, we can be seeing this 13 crossing above the 200 exponential pretty soon. That's looking amazing. So this will confirm that a big support level, if we were to keel over, would be the 200 exponential. Just keep that in mind. And then a deeper correction would be this 55 simple, and that sits us around 21,000. That's looking great. But I don't see that being retested for some time. Maybe probably after June into July, we'd be back into 20s again. For now, up. Let's look at the 3-day. Where are we at? Okay, so 3-day closure coming in 2 days. We don't really need to look at that right now. 2-day closure coming in tonight. Okay, so we have a 2-day closing tonight and a weekly close coming in tonight. As long as we're holding about 29,700, we're pretty much just on continuation. We can see that this 55 is sloping nicely to the upside. I would like to see this 55 cross above the 200 exponential. It's going to take a couple more closures for that to kick in. But in the meantime, moving averages are looking amazing. Okay, the daily looks incredible. All moving averages in bullish posture. I guess technically I would like to see this let me show you really quickly. No, yeah, this looks fine. Yeah. It's the same as over here, where we have this light green moving average above the dark green. That'd be the 200 exponential above the 200 simple. And it's the automatic rally vibes. Beautiful. I'm speechless actually, because how cyclical this market is. It's really amazing. Okay. So yeah, nothing to say here. Next target, let me just look at the fibs and be super simple. Next target is the 0.5 fib. That's 32,800, and that's in alignment with, I believe it was the 3-day 200 exponential. So can we be seeing Bitcoin, apologies about that. Hit the mic by mistake. Could we be seeing Bitcoin cross above the 0.5 fib into the monthly close? Absolutely. Things are looking great. So upside target would be 33,000. Downside target would be somewhere around 27 on the 382, but for now I'm feeling more up than down because we're just approaching our new moon soon. Let's look at ETH. Now, I shared a fractal on ETH. Let me see if I could find the exact fractal for you guys. Here it is. And I shared it over on Twitter as well, so definitely go over there and follow my account at WatersAbove, WatersAbove, and you'll see this post that I made right here. And it's amazing how similar this fractal is. So what I did was I took the fractal from back here, Just took a bars pattern from this all-time high down to this automatic rally, and I copy and pasted this moving over, and it is literally the same thing when I have it on log scale. So I was sharing how you can tell this structure was very similar between the bull trap here, the big selling climax drop, and then this buyback, and how we've skimmed similar levels. So this technically, I guess, would be coming in around 2,200. And I shared an upside level of about 2,300. The reason is, if I go over to this chart, the reason for that is because it seems to be playing on some of the low levels coming in here before we keeled over and broke down into a selling climax. So you could see this break around 2,300, and that's what's making me feel like we could retest that. It's also the neckline of this W pattern right there, back in July 6th. So 2,300 to 2,500 is possible, but technically we did complete the same automatic rally fractal 1-to-1 going back to the last iteration of an automatic rally for Ethereum. So now is not the time to get greedy, but if we close today above the 0.5 fib, I mean, that's gorgeous. 1 second, family. All right, so keep this 0.5 level in mind. If we do close the weekly above it, I mean, it's really hard to find anything bearish on this ETH chart. It's just looking amazing. Look at how we would be closing above the August 8th highs. That would be trend reversal proven. Like, we're in a proven trend reversal going to this June 13th moment of a selling climax as of this week. We'd really be solidifying that, getting over this level. I mean, we won't have a full-blown macro trend reversal until we start closing above April 4th, but we already know that we're not going to be getting over there until like 2024 at the end of the year. So what I'm just talking about is the short term, kind of more confluence, more proof of this automatic rally being in play. So let's look at some of our moving averages. Amazing. We have the wolf cross on the weekly, nothing negative to say here. And we have potentially this 21 exponential getting above the 34 exponential. Beautiful. And 13 at the top, so that's looking great as well. Daily looking amazing. Daily's looking amazing. Yeah, nothing negative to say here. This is beautiful. Automatic rally continue. Next target to the upside, 23, and then technically 25. Lower area of the 618, the bottom of the golden pocket. Let's move into XRP, which is really struggling with this 52 cent area. And think about how I was sharing all the information about April, let me show you, April 18th, being this 257th day left in the year. That would be your 55th prime, which could also translate as that 2 5s or 5. I talked about this already. I don't want to keep... I don't want to keep going over the same stuff, but that connection with 18 days, all of this tied back to May 6th, which is the 239th day. That's the 52nd prime. So, we're in the year of the rabbit, 52, and XRP is just struggling at that 52 cent level. Like, it can't get over it. So what we need is a daily close above 55 cents. Will we see that happen on the 18th, the day with 257 days in the year, the 55th prime number? Will we see XRP close above 55 cents on that day? Write down what I'm saying, because that's how we're using this code. That would not surprise me at all. Let me look again. Yeah, we know Mars is that 51.15, which is Aries. All right, so we also have this area right here. Let me turn off all of this noise and just show you really quickly on the weekly chart what we're going up against with an area. So I'm in area candles right now. We see this red trend line going right through here, how it is a rejection point at the highs of April. This is like 2 years ago, actually, perfectly at this time frame. On the closure of the weekly, another rejection here, then your third touch point here. I love this way of doing trend line analysis because it doesn't have all those wicks kind of screwing up our data. You know, all that volatile stuff is removed and it gets us a much cleaner vision of what's happening here. Weekly macro closures for XRP. And on this trend line, we have this 60-cent level being very, very important. 57, 56, and 60-cent area. That's perfectly in alignment with the 382 fib. So if we were to get above this area, that would be a sign for me that that's all we need. And then this thing's going straight to 81 cents, then to 91, and then potentially $1. So I can't really say more than that right now because it stays in the same analysis that I've been sharing with you guys for a while now. And you see this yellow moving average, yellow trend line. That's our local resistance. And it goes back to the highs that we got on October 2022. So we break this level, and I wouldn't be surprised if we could just bash through all of this in a couple of candles. But until we break 60 cents, there is no 80 or 90 or dollar target. We have to wait and be patient. Now let's move into silver. Speaking of 52 and 25, silver closed at $25 on the week. Surprise, surprise. Now let's go to the candles. Let's see a couple things that are going on with this. We're looking at a weekly chart, by the way, from the high of August 20th, continuing to get rejected all the way up until recently. Now we've started to break out above that. If I wanted to draw this on wicks, we're also breaking out above it. Yeah, no matter how we look at it, we're breaking out above this resistance line. Oh, okay. So this is actually, I drew this off of the current all-time high for silver. And is this a coincidence that the all-time high for silver is 47? Let's go to the periodic table. 1 second. For those of you that are into silver, you could see it's the 47th element on the periodic table. Oh, this is beautiful. This reminds me of the 107 we were talking about before. And technically 107.8, it gets rounded up to 108. And we're talking about the 108th day of the year. Holy moly. That's a wild connection, man. And the fact that we're talking about silver right now. And also, it's a Red Pill podcast number 107. Silver is 107 atomic mass. Tomorrow is the 107th day of the year. Anyone who's in Australia right now, you're already in that day. We're at the 52nd minute mark of the podcast. We're dialed into the code, man. But people want to know why silver hit all-time high twice at $47. It's because the global elite use this periodic table, 47th element. I know it's really harsh. People have to allow this gnosis to sink in. And all of those talking heads that have been pushing this narrative of, $100 silver all of these past years, you could have saw through that bullshit if you knew this code. We all could have. So does silver break out into new all-time highs in 2024? I don't think so. But could it be getting into $30, $40 territory? Yes, absolutely. So let's talk about a couple things. We're going to zoom out super far now. We're looking at macro. We're going to be looking at 2-week candles. We have a huge cup and handle thing going on, and we're starting to break out. I do think that this 786 level is going to be key. So if it can't get above $27, it could be trapped between this 702 at $21 and $27 for a little bit of time. Let's just see how it goes. But once you start solidifying weekly closes, 2-week closes, monthly closes above $28, that's a sign that you should be moving into the 88 fib pretty soon. So just keep that in mind, guys. This breakout is potentially going to be completed by the end of this year. And that goes along with my gold analysis that I shared about a $2,400 gold right here, with this 1618 sitting there at 2,400. Now let's do the same thing. And we're going to be pulling a fib from this local high to this level here. We're going to make sure that we are in a log setting. We are. And let's look at where our 1618 is. It's at 42. $42 on the nose. So that would be a lower high. accordingly to two prior all-time highs. So if it's going to start breaking out into 40, I assume there's probably going to be some serious FOMO and you're going to see volume increase. And that's probably a time where the New World Order is going to pull the plug. They're going to get you people to FOMO in at like a blow off kind of situation, like right back here. So don't be shocked if that happens, especially if this breakout happens prematurely before October of this year. I don't think that, well, I'm open-minded to see how this goes, but technically I'm still saying that $42 is on my radar. Regardless of how, this chart moves next, 42 is still my upside target, and I feel pretty good that 17 should hold for the long term. So as of right now, that's a positive thing. We are pretty much coiling up in this right here. And could we be in the midst of breaking out of this really big trading pattern? Who knows, Let me show you really quickly. I mean, if this measured move was to actually come to fruition, I don't know if it will. It's a little bit exaggerated. And I would like to look at it in a linear scale. Oh, no. That's not happening. That would be probably take some time because this shit moves slow. But technically your 1618 on the bigger pattern is sitting up pretty damn high in the triple digits. It'd be amazing if in our lifetimes we could see silver go to 241 for real. I mean, 107 would be the most natural price target to the upside. 3 digits hitting into 107, the atomic mass. We've seen it hit 47 twice over a time frame that is how long? Looking at how many years? About 1,200 days. 33 years. 1 second, guys. All right. Well, there's so much to say about this, man. I could probably do a decode in the future. I don't have the time right now, and it's not important right now at all in my grand work, but I shared the upside target, and again, I think that $40 level could be in play soon. I would just like to see this. Let me see if I could get the data here. I would just like to see 27 be breached on a weekly close. That would make me feel really confident of a move up. I'm going to leave that line there. If we're going to return back, I want to see if that trend line holds, because that's been in place since, 2008 as a pretty solid support level. So that's no joke. Also, let me see right here. Well, okay, no, it's not clean, but you have here touch, rejection, and yeah. I don't want to get messy with these lines. I'm not a big line drawer. But thus far, this was a important trend line to consider. The one going from this all-time high through all of these rejections. And it looks like silver's breaking that now. So it's very positive. And since we're in the Jubilee year, that shouldn't surprise people. We're seeing the inflation hit, and we're seeing people, precious metals make sense during this time. But if we get a market sell-off in September, October this year, I don't think silver and precious metals will be isolated from that. I think they will both correct alongside the market. So just keep that in mind. There could be some de-risking energy going on in silver this year for top players, for people that hold a lot of it. I'm not telling anyone what to do. No financial advice here. I'm just saying what I'm seeing. So let's move through these altcoins. We have EOS. Eosphorus is Lucifer. That is the light bearer. You guys have probably heard of this. Eosphorus, or Phosphorus, the planet Venus, the morning star, Lucifer, son of the morning, Dawnbringer. Gotta love mythology. Torchbearer, light bringing, phosphorus. So now that we got that out of the way, let's look at what's going on here. We have this big horizontal trading range. We have a fib that has been in play forever. This chart goes back to 2017, so that's beautiful. We have a lot of data. And we can see clear as day here that we did get a rejection into August 2022 on the 236, and thus far, this thing is kind of staggering. So let me pull it to this local high, because this thing has not broken to new all-time highs. Wait, sorry. Oh my God, this is horrible. This is a terrible, no, okay. I just noticed a couple things here. One, this is the C19 crash. This is the pandemic. You see where it's trading? $2. Look at where it's trading today. It hit 79 cents on the lows. It broke through the C19 levels. It went lower than that. This would be like if Bitcoin today was trading at like $1,000. That's what that would be similar to. Because down here, Bitcoin was trading at 3,000. And then here, Bitcoin was trading at 60,000, and this thing was still at lower highs. So it has this essence to XRP and Monero and a couple other OG coins like Dash and Stellar Lumens, but at least XRP held structure. This thing started breaking below structure. So right here, XRP hit 11 cents. This would be like if XRP was trading at like 7 cents, and if it was trading at like 9 cents today. I wouldn't touch this coin with a 100-foot pole. Horrible investment. Yikes. Yeah, just that's all I have to say, right? Like, think about this. If it's trading lower than the C19 lows and it has data going all the way back to 2017, then clearly this is just retail continuing to offload this coin more and more and more and more. So, I mean, at best, maybe this thing crosses the 236, hits back up into 183, and then I would get cautious there. You know, I don't know if this thing could have an automatic rally because it is in price discovery to the downside, essentially. I mean, it broke through a support that was lasting from 2018 to 2022. That's 4 years of support that it broke through and then got rejected after coming back into it. Total shitcoin. Like, this is really where chart analysis is helpful, because it would show you like, okay, this is not a good investment opportunity. This is not holding structure. It has not proven itself over time to maintain trend. It's in a downtrend. So yeah, this thing can be at 50 cents by the end of this year. Just completely folding over another leg down. Who's to say it can't, right? Just be very careful with this stuff, guys. Yeah, I really don't know more to add. Okay, so here you have something positive, I suppose. You have a rejection. Then we came out of it, back tested it, and now I'll do some more local analysis so it doesn't seem like I'm bashing it. Like, this is real, genuine analysis here. Everything I said before was too, by the way. Like, breaking these C19 lows and trading lower is horrendous. That's insane comparatively to just a basic investment like Bitcoin. But this test here is solid. What I would like to see now is a closure high above these two levels right there. So something like $1.34, and then rise into the 236 would be next, and probably the $1.83 level, because that seems to be a very significant horizontal level. And if it can't get above 190, then it could just roll over right there. So I wouldn't touch this investment. It's not a good investment opportunity, in my opinion. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but this is a shit coin. Okay, moving over to Pirate Chain. Oof. All right. All right, it lost 98%. Had its selling climax recently. Holy shit. Okay, shitcoin. Don't touch this thing. This thing made new lows on March 10th. Compare that to like Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum. Like, just see what's the difference here. See, this stuff is like momentary. It's momentary, all right? Like, I know that back at that moment it went parabolic, but like, this shit doesn't last forever, all right? This was, you had 18 days of glory. 18 days of glory that has followed with 700 plus days of losing 98% of its value on a continuum of lower highs and lower lows downtrend, with a selling climax that's I can't even confirm yet. Goodness gracious, privacy coins are really a psyop. Like, I've been trying to tell people this for the longest time, and I know this is what kind of makes me unpopular, but it's also what allows people to see that I'm a real one, because I'm utilizing discernment and I'm thinking outside the box here. And I've been very candid that there is no such thing as privacy on the internet. It doesn't exist, okay? Nothing is private about the World Wide Web. You're the fly that's caught in the internet, in the World Wide Web, created by CERN, okay? So there's no such thing as privacy coins. Get over that psyop. It's not how it works. The same thing with DeFi. DeFi is a huge psyop. So many people want to think that it is what is told to you, and this is how people continue to get fleeced. So I don't have any real positive things to say about privacy tokens. I just look at charts, and this chart is abysmal. It's trading back into this horizontal range. It's even broken through it on a couple wicks down at 28 cents. Next layer to the downside is about 13 cents. I suppose that could be in play by the end of this year. It's just nothing to say about this thing that's positive. Horrible. Okay, so you see this fib I just pulled? I pulled it from that swing low to that swing high. That's a bearish fib pull in reverse, and it's trading into the 1618. So that's a beautiful iteration of how to use this Fibonacci retracement tool. It could break that level very quickly. Okay, so I'm gonna do a larger fib. This is like, yeah, at best the 236 in a bullish buyback, but I doubt it at this time. Like, this thing is really not performing well. I would like to get more touch points than this, but I can't. It's just been horrible. Okay, I'm just keeping it real. No. Not good. No bueno. Este no bueno. All right, let's move on to Dero. It's another privacy token. Okay, much better. Much better. All right, so here is the C19 moment. Okay. So yeah, looking pretty good. It's held horizontal structure. It's not looking as okay. We have a lot more data, I believe, as well. And we're in an automatic rally. It's beautiful. Okay, this is finally something worth it. Oof. Okay, be very careful on this right now. I don't know what this wick is about. This is probably just a data glitch. But I'm pulling a fib from swing high to swing low, and you can see getting to the 0.5 fib in short order. You don't want to mess around here, because this can turn into a dead cat bounce where it rolls over, and I do see this is probably going to break down to about $1.40, $1.50 in October. I definitely think that this thing could break lows on the downside. It's thin air below 250, so keep that in mind. But this is looking like an automatic rally in its final moments. So you want to keep the 618 to 702 in mind, somewhere around $10. That's a very psychological level. And $10 comes in perfectly at a lot of key levels that I'm seeing. So let me show you. And then zoom out. So you see this rejection right here, perfectly at $10. Huge correction, then buyback. Then again rejected at the same level, buyback, and then it went into its buying climax. Then ever since it broke that level, it went into selling climax. So that's a good key level to identify that we're gravitating up to. I would de-risk heavily, if not everything, from this project at around $10. We're basically there, so this wouldn't be a bad opportunity either. So if Bitcoin's going to make it up to 40K, this thing could definitely be seeing the $10 to $11 region. Not much to say besides that. After that, you would expect a rollover back to the 236, where it has a ton of trading data, about 1 full year. And then I do suspect we could break down through that, heading into below $2 in September, October. Okay, but I'm not interested in this project at all. Not liking the way this chart looks, really, besides the fact that it was a contrast to the prior chart, which really looked like horseshit. All right, okay, final words. We're just going to look at Chronos. One moment. Alrighty. Oof, yeah, this is not looking good either. Okay, so this is your C19 crash. We have what I call a SOS, which is a sign of strength in Wyckoff. This is your spring, sign of strength, backup phase. And we had like a dual backup phase, sign of strength thing going on, like a wavy, and then buying climax. This is a crazy chart, like crazy looking chart. Very, I would assume that most of this energy is coming from the exchange itself. Now, let's look. 95% losses. So this is your selling climax area. Now the next move is an automatic rally. What could it pull off? Probably not anything substantial. 1 second. All right, so the 236, 2382 is definitely in the cards because we see that we got rejected there going back to February of 2023, around the February new moon, holding supports on this level. This is a very key level, by the way, 8 cents on this coin. So breaking above 8 cents could be a quick move to 16 cents, like a double right there. And I don't know if its automatic rally can make it much higher than this. It would require Bitcoin to get into like 40K. If Bitcoin could get into 40K, I could definitely see this making it into like 15, 17, 18 cent territory, making it up into that 0.5 fibs possible. I don't know if it has the juice to make it higher than 0.5 fib at this time. It has to get going now because it's trading really on the deep lows. So, and the chart looks horrible. So it's not like it has like chart structure that makes me confident in automatic rally looking clean. The automatic rally is probably going to look very, very ugly. And like this kind of energy where it's just sharp straight line kind of stuff, big rejections. Like look at this trading over here. It's just really super choppy. So the automatic rally in this project could happen really short, fast, and you just want to keep that 382 level to 0.5 fib level in mind, as it could swipe through that level in a single day and then keel over. So I'm going to leave it at that. We'll just keep it at the quick thoughts on Chronos. Things are looking really nice for the overall top 3 big cryptos that I pay attention to. Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, everything else is kind of just chugging along as the dominance equilibrates. We do need to see Bitcoin, kind of make it up into the next leg higher, get past this local resistance at 31,000, and then we can see all the other altcoins rise alongside it. So I'm going to leave it at that. Today was packed full of gnosis, probably one of the best episodes when it comes to the decoding stuff. Last week we made an awesome call. We're heading into the solar eclipse in about 4 days. We have the big April 18th date right around the corner that I shared with you guys. And well, let's just see how this plays out. I would love to know what some of you guys think about the decode in our Discord. Feel free to share your thoughts, and please vote on next week's projects. Put coins that we haven't looked at in a while. That would be more ideal. And next week's episode will just be a wrap up of how our solar eclipse went. I appreciate you guys. Wishing you an amazing rest of your Sunday. Much love.